Welcome back to Maintaining Your Vehicle with the Brain Dead Mechanic. Here we have Nissan Sally. All of our wheels are off. In the first episode, we covered the test drive, the DTC health scan. We went over some safety points when lifting a vehicle. We also went over some safety points when parking your vehicle that you may not have known. This video is going to be full of some quick tips. It's going to be full of some things that we did off camera to get them kind of done and out of the way and to shorten this video, as well as some things that we're going to pick up where we left off in the other video to show you how you can maintain your vehicle. Doing so, I guarantee you, should you trade it, you'll get more money. It'll be more reliable and you'll have less worry. It'll last a lot longer. And the cost of maintaining your vehicle on a regular basis will save you the cost of buying a new one over the course of anywhere from 5 to 7 years, depending on your loan. Car payments can get really expensive, depending on the amount of money you have to put down, what they give you for your trade because it was never maintained. You could pay anywhere from $300 to $500 a month, plus full coverage, when you could have a reliable, older vehicle that gets you from point A to point B, that you know everything is solid as a rock on, and you don't have a car payment, and you have a low insurance payment because you only have to carry liability. That being said, now we know the costs and the effects. I'm going to add all that up for you at the end of this video to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now, let's get back to our video. Here we have Nissan Sally, and we have Mr. Wood. Say hi, Woodster.
Hello.
You gotta excuse me, I'm carrying around a bottle of water today because it is extremely hot. It is about 95 degrees out here today, and we are on asphalt. I don't know if you've ever knelt on hot asphalt, but it's very painful. So let's start out by covering what we did while it was off camera. Let's walk around to the back of the car once I get the trunk up.
It's actually 87 degrees.
Oh, thank you for the correction there, Weatherman Wood. Awesome. All right. In the back here, we have some parts, okay? This right here is going to be for our exhaust fix. This is a new flex pipe that's 2 inches. It's going to go over our 1.5 inch exhaust. I'm going to show you how to measure that and cut that. We have 2 clamps that'll secure this. And we have a way of modifying the inlet and the outlet with slits to help this collapse and seal the leak. Now, we did some brake work while we were off camera. These are the old rotors to the car. Do you remember when you saw these in the first video, they had rust spots on them, and we had them turned. Having them turned, they were good. They got most of the rust spots off, and it had a good non-directional finish on it. However, we had a caliper seizure. During our initial investigation, the rotors were rusted and from the car sitting, but the caliper slides were free. I had an appointment to keep, as well as we had to cut that video that day as it was running long. On the way to my appointment, vehicle ran fine. On the way back was when it gave me a trouble. The left front caliper had locked up, resulting in all these black marks that you see on this rotor are pieces of pad where the caliper was dragging really hard. The car was actually struggling to move. It overheated the brake pads, but it did not crack them, and the adhesive did not come off the backing, and the pad stayed to the backing. Upon further inspection, we found that both of the guide pins to the caliper were frozen. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Oh, God, it's a full brake job. We got to bleed and flush the system again. Or we got to bleed and flush the system, so that's going to cost us brake fluid. We have to turn around, and we got to get a new caliper for that side. So that's like $200 there. And that's $100 for the rotors. Oh, man, this thing's a money pit. I'm just going to go buy the $300 because I don't know what's going to break next month. It's not the case at all. Let me go show you what we did. Let's come around here. The only parts that we replaced on this car so far are these front rotors. They are brand new. Given the current economy, the price of rotors used to be anywhere from $15 to $30 a piece. These rotors ran me $98 for the pair. The reason why they are so high is because of inflation. Right now we are in the middle of a national recession, and things are going to cost us more naturally. I'll cover all of that in another video. For now, we replaced the rotors, and in another clip, I show you how I heated up the caliper bracket and how I freed up the slides. Now, I was only able to do one on video because I had done the other one before I started recording. On the other side, we replaced the other rotor because you do it in pairs. Once that repair procedure was all done, come on up here. This brake fluid was black. We have a segment that we're going to cut to on that where we did a brake flush. This brake fluid was black, and I did a before and an after. We're going to splice that into the video as well later on. But yes, we did a brake flush. We covered our power steering rack when we did it part of the inspection, because your steering is part of your suspension. If your steering goes out, while the bing bang, you start running into stuff. So we look down here, and you can see our tie rod outer and tie rod inner are all wet. And inside this bellows boot is a seal. What happens is that seal wears out as you turn your wheel back and forth over the course of time, or from sitting it gets hard and brittle. And when you start driving the car, the seal will start leaking. What we found was that the seal had resealed itself once it softened back up. What you do is you put a conditioner in your power steering fluid. You don't use stop leak. You put a power steering conditioner in here. And what that does is it lubricates the rack and all the seals in the rack. And what that'll do is it'll soften that seal back up. That seal will still be good, and it'll seal off the leak. Top off your fluid with regular fluid. And then in your next run of maintenance, you flush the fluid to get all the dirt out. But you want to leave that conditioner in there for at least one oil change worth of drive cycles. All right, around back. Around back, we have what's primarily known as our parking brake, AKA our drum assembly, okay? The way this acts is you have 90% of your stopping power in the front and you have 10% in the rear. That is to keep these from locking up and the car from sliding out of control like this.
And fishtailing.
And fishtailing. What those are primarily used for are your parking brake. When you pull in and you put your vehicle in neutral like you were shown, and you pull your parking brake 5 clicks, a cable actuates your shoes out. Come on out here. Cable actuates your shoes out. Your shoes are in there like this. They go out like this through a cable. They engage against the drum, and when the car, you release the brake in neutral to see if it's going to hold the car, those shoes twist just a little bit, and they wedge against the drum, and they hold the car in place, and you put the car in park. You remember your parking paws are your secondary, your drums are your primary. Today, we are going to cover tire measurements, what's your minimum spec, what your wear bars mean, where you can locate your wear bars, and the 2 sources of cheap ways you can measure them. One is more exact than the other. We will cover that in a moment. Tires are very important. You need to know their age. I will teach you how to read the DOT to determine how old your tires actually are, per their production date, which is printed on every tire, and I'll show you where to find that too. We're going to cover all of this in today's video, including your filters, the service intervals of those filters, and where to access those filters. Now, as you know, we've done a brake flush and we've done a brake service, and we've freed up a caliper, which we're all going to show you. William, I want you to come on over here. I have been teaching Will a few things off and on, and I kind of want to gauge where he's at, so I'm going to have him tell you about the engine air filter, where to locate it, how many miles it should be when you change it.
I think it's
10,000
I
miles.
thought it was 5K.
No,
Every
10,000
oil
miles.
change, I would change it.
Every 10 to
Just be
15.
safe.
Every 10 to 15,000 miles.
10 to 15?
Yep.
All
Every
right.
10 to 15,000 miles or when it's dirty. So go ahead, show them where the engine air filter is, and show them what it does.
All right, I'm gonna put these on so I don't burn myself.
Yeah, the engine is hot because we are going to be doing a little bit of exhaust work in our test drive. When we first started the car up, you heard that rumble, and I said this car doesn't have a performance exhaust. Well, it has a leak. I'm going to show you how to find that leak, and I'm going to show you the part that we're going to use to replace it, which is in the trunk that you saw already.
You have 4 main clips that secure this properly in the vehicle.
They attach the upper to the lower. There's one more.
It should be right back here underneath this connector. If I can get my fat hands back there. And you want to undo it, separate it. Comes in 2 halves. You got your bottom half and your upper half.
This is your filter.
This is your filter. Now, some cars, they might just have no filter, or they might have this. Some carbureted cars, they have a filter on top.
Some of them have a round filter inside.
Yeah.
Forward. Now, if you look at this one, it's generally what, clean? Is this pretty
Yeah,
clean?
mostly clean. Got some debris and starting to wear a little bit,
Don't
but
tear that, because you're going to vacuum leak.
yeah.
All right. Now, show them the differences between what's in here and what's in here.
Now,
You see how clean the upper half is?
what's in there, if that gets stuck to your throttle body, that's going to throw the car through a loop. and you're going to get a lean code. You're going to foul plugs.
It's going to gunk up the throttle
All
body.
sorts of calamities going to
Now,
happen.
if you get it in your mass airflow sensor in here, this is your mass airflow. See how clean the lid of this box is compared to that bottom? That is your mass airflow sensor. If any of this dirt gets in that mass airflow sensor, it's going to cause an engine code. Your vehicle could stall, or it could just run rough and go into what's called limp mode. If the vehicle goes into limp mode, you won't be able to go over 2,000 RPM or 25 miles an hour. All right, we'll go ahead and throw that filter back in there.
Yep.
Go ahead and secure it nice and easy. Oh, you're caught on the back lip here, which is why that got torn. There we go.
Got pinched.
Yep. And I'll throw this up because my hands are thinner than yours. There we go. I got the back ones. Okay. All right. Let's inspect our radiator hoses, our coolant lines. The coolant lines are very important. As your vehicle gets older, these hoses get soft. They can start leaking. You'll start noticing little things like, you know, this around here. We'll replace this in another
Looks like
video.
a penny.
It kind of looks like corrosion. What happens is, over time, your engine goes through heat cycles. Everything under this hood goes through a heat cycle. Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Your coolant, under pressure, passes through your upper radiator hose into your engine block. When your engine block reaches a certain temperature, you have a thermostat in here. That's on a spring. That opens because it's heat. Heat makes it open, and pressure. And then your coolant flows down your lower radiator hose via your water pump, flows down your lower radiator hose into the bottom of your radiator. Then it gets pumped with the water pump up through the radiator, all the way up to this top tank and back into your block. Okay? That's basically how your cooling system works. You have heater hoses back here that are split off of this bypass that go into your heater core. So when you turn your heat on in the wintertime, you have your defrost and you have heat so you're not freezing to death on the way to work. We inspect all of these hoses because if any of them start leaking or if any of them blow off, you're going to have what's called an overheating condition.
Yeah.
This is an iron block with an aluminum head.
Unless it's a car.
That is very prone to head gasket problems and warping. In extreme conditions, like extreme heat or extreme cold,
like Las Vegas
things
cars.
can happen and go wrong. So you definitely want to make sure that your cooling system is up to par. This one is okay, except for the lower radiator hose has a little bit of corrosion around here.
But that's
But
okay.
all in all, these hoses feel okay. They're not bulging, they're not too soft, they're not too hard, they're good to go. Over here, we have a coolant reservoir. You have a max line, and you have a minimum line. When the vehicle is hot, your coolant expands and is under pressure, and it should bypass in the cap. There's a spring-loaded valve in here, and has a bypass to a hose and comes right here to your overflow. This is called an expansion tank. When the engine's hot, this should be at max. The engine's probably mid-range right now, and as you can see, the coolant level's mid-range. When the engine is cold and you first start it, fluid is drawn out of here, back through the hose, and into the radiator itself, so your coolant level in your cooling system stays the same, and pressures are maintained at a consistent 16 to 18 psi. Word of caution here, never ever open either your radiator or your overflow when the engine is hot. It is under pressure and it will burn you severely. Okay, now we're going to take a break, and Malachi is going to cut over to the sequence where I did the repair for the caliper and showed you how I freed up those slides. And he's also going to splice in a little section where I show you about the brake flush and the procedure on how to do that. I'm moving kind of fast here because I am on a time constraint. I got exactly 45 minutes till I have to be 2 miles away from here, and she's picked my wife up. This is my daughter. She's my water girl. Her name is Skylar. She's going to help me out with this project. You got 2 forms of gas when you got a stuck caliper pin. You're going to find these. This one don't move or twist, and this one twists and moves. We're going to get this out of here. I'm going to show you how. Blue is propane, yellow is matte. Matte burns hotter. Let me get a sip of water. I'm going to show you how to fire this up using leather gloves so you don't burn yourself. Put a little bit of heat to it. You don't want to set it on fire.
Okay, can I have a drink?
Where stuff expands and it'll let go and break that.
And you
rust
don't want to
off.
melt. You don't want to melt that dust boot.
Okay, can
So-
I have a drink?
Yes, you can. I'm gonna slip these gloves on.
As you can see, mine are pretty old and deteriorating, but still work.
But yeah, it's always good to have other gloves around. Good fitting leather gloves. Personal protection. Remember I told you about safety? All right, we're gonna turn our torch on. Make sure our lid's tight. Turn our torch on. You'll hear it hiss. Hear that? You hear it hiss? My cameraman's a little scary. We got a flame. We're gonna burn it away from this boot.
You hear a kink when it says that kink, it'll expand.
See how it's smoking a little bit?
That's the grease inside heating up and evaporating.
I didn't have it on there very long.
tear the boot.
Sometimes you gotta heat it up a lot.
That's very
Can't see the heat in the sun, but if I show it down here, see that blue flame? That's what you want. You want to keep it moving, and you want to keep your heat away from your boot.
Help that boot.
Get that. Don't want to melt hubcaps either. See her start to smoke?
Parts up to press them and fit them. They have a press.
And this is hot. You want to grab it by the bottom.
Yeah. And grab her, twist her, and break her loose.
Grab it. Try not to break it. Get a good grip on it if you can. I'm at a time constraint here, so I'm moving kind of fast.
You need better pliers.
And you just wiggle her. See that? Got her.
Hear that pressure
She's
release?
free.
That's
There she is. She's out.
That boot.
So be careful because this is hot. Give me the water, the clear bottle. I'm going to show you how hot it is. Hey, girlfriend.
Hi, kitty.
Now, didn't that have a rubber dust?
You should have this on standby with a fire extinguisher, but
Kitty, that's Daniel.
It's water.
you want it cool so you can handle it. You don't want it. It's already corroded and kind of effed up, so you don't want to worry about that.
This makes her quenching.
It's just sort of quenching. You don't want to get it so hot that this is still a little warm. I can feel it through my gloves. I'm gonna take them off because my hands are kind of tough and I need to feel. Ouch, motherfucker, it's still hot.
Yeah, that is.
If it burns through my hands, trust me, it'll burn yours. Let that cool.
This is what burning does to your arms.
Let this cool. Go grab me the little round brushes that I have in there to go in my drill.
Yes. Do not do this if it burns you. My dad's hand.
Little round brushes.
Yeah, they're in the
It'll
drawer.
burn yours.
They go to this. No, they're in that drawer.
'Cause this
Second drawer
is
down.
a real life
Yep.
video
They're little round wire brushes.
sponsored by cars.
You're gonna take your water. You're gonna dump it out. You're gonna set your pin back up here. Do one slide pin at a time. This one's pretty free. See, we got her. She's good. Okay. We'll set our torch aside.
Here you go.
We're gonna take the wire brush we think is gonna be closest to that. We need smaller ones. Don't have any smaller ones in there.
Yeah.
How many smaller ones? Here, take this one. Find the wire brush, it'll fit down in there. Take your penetrating fluid. Doesn't matter if it's dry or not, or water in there, just because this stuff repels water. And you see it foam up? A lot of corrosion. Soak this down. Really good. I don't know where my boot went. My boot's here. We didn't destroy it. Thank God there's enough grease in there, but we're gonna clean that out too. All right, these are the brushes we need right here, these guys. It'll go down in there. It has a little bit of drag, not much.
That is brass.
Well, brass we know is not gonna tear up the steel.
Yeah.
We don't wanna hone it out. We still want the same fit. Hold that wire brush.
Got it.
These wire brushes were from Snap-on. You can get them at Harbor Freight.
Or
They're
any
going into your
local-
drill.
any local
And then what you
parts
do is
store.
just take all that grody stuff, you drill it out, kind of working around a little bit. Don't be afraid. Hand me my last little bit of brake clean.
Brake clean.
Yeah, it's in the house. My last little bit. No, it's on the bottom of the cart. Black bottle. Last little bit in the back. Bought a white bottle. Got to use brake clean on this, unfortunately. There's no other way around it. I only have a little bit left. I was trying not to do this job with the brake clean, but What we're gonna do is we're gonna dump out that grody shit. See it? It's grody. I'm gonna show you how to scrub all this down, by the way.
When you're done.
Just fill it up as best you can. What that'll do is that'll eat all that grody stuff out of there.
Okay, black
Take your
tar.
brush, go slow because you don't want to get this on you or in your eyes, and then rinse it out. That's the best we can do, folks. That's it. That's the best we can do with that. Let me see that towel that I had you get, the blue paper towel. We're gonna take a little blue paper towel. We're going to
Twist it up. This water.
twist the end just enough to where we can get it down in there.
It's
Try to
like
absorb
cleaning-
any more.
It's just like cleaning a barrel or any tight crevice.
There she is.
Cylinder.
She perfect? Not by any means. Hold that because we're going to reuse that again. Then we're going to take a little bit of our lube. You always want to use the proper lube. This stuff is specifically designed for this. It's expensive, but trust me, you'll thank yourself for spending the money.
Usually, if it's expensive,
I got
it
this
works
from
for a
work.
reason.
Fisher Auto Parts sells this. It's super lube, silicone lubricating brake grease with silicone PTFE. I don't know what it is, but it works. All right, we're gonna set that down
Just
and kind of
what it is.
like you
It's silicone.
in something, and it just kind of sits there. Take a rag, give me that rag. After this is soaked in penetrating fluid, and you wipe it off. Then we're gonna take our wire brush, our wire wheel.
Why do I feel like we're only going to be able to get to like one side today?
That's why I only took one side apart, because I'm going to have this back together by 210. We're going to get the wheels on it, get it dropped down. Then when we come back, we're going to raise it back up. You'll see it in the same position that it's in now. And we'll have it blown back apart.
We'll be able to
Now, let me see that wire wheel. Hurry up. Wire wheel. Right there. There's this brake. I guess. What we're going to do is that rust around the very top there, that'll cause that pin to bind every time. So, holding it in my hand, go very easy. You ain't got to dig in. Let the wire wheel do the work. We're going to stick it in the hole with that grease that we just put in there. And we're going to shove that grease down in there. We're going to work this thing around. See how it's pushing all that grease up in there?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to take our little thing right here because we got a little too much in there. Perfect. And she don't flop around. There's no play. Very little. That's perfect. That's what you want.
Then you want to smear it around in there. Now, can you pass me that? What about
And just work it in. Now, we got our slide. We got to handle this. Best way to handle this, y'all are going to tell me I'm wrong, but take this right here and just go around the inside of it as best you can.
We like to reuse as much OEM parts as possible, cuts down on cost and waste. It's your boot, right?
Yep, this is the rubber boot that keeps that corrosion from happening, but
It kind of fails.
if they don't lube it when they do a fast grease job on the brakes, when they do the brakes, a lot of people don't lubricate it. See how we got all that out of there for the most part? All right, now this, you see this piece right here? It has like the crown on it. Has the crown on it, goes down. Okay. Well, first you want to take, oh shit.
And don't spray the boot with WD-40.
We'll wipe that down. First we're gonna do this. Just a little bit.
Just around the outer edge so we get nice clean metal and a nice clean seal.
There
Try
she
not
is.
to get as much dirt in there. Try not to
See, I got that lip cleaned. Got that lip cleaned. We're gonna take our stuff in there. Okay. Now we're gonna wipe off our pin because we dropped it in the dirt. See that dirt that's on there? I don't know if you can pick it up. There's a little tiny grit right there. That gets down in there. It's gonna cause abnormal wear inside the cylinder. We got plenty of lube in there. It ain't no big deal. Make sure our boot's on tight. All right, there we go. She's in and she's lubricated. I'm gonna do a little bit more because she's a little kind of, storm's moving in. I gotta hurry up. Just a little bit. You don't need a lot. This stuff will cause problems if you use too much. Okay, we're gonna get this side done because this side was stuck. The other side's not so stuck. There we are. Now she's talking. Yeah. All right. Now, let me see that. Fold that towel like I showed you to fold it, that rag. All right. Now, if you don't have the gray grease and all you got is this stuff right here, this will work too. Let me see that rag. What we're going to do is we're going to fold this rag, get a clean spot facing up. Shake it up real good. You can get this at Fisher too. Make a cup.
Looks like ketchup. Skylar, your TV's running. Go watch TV.
Some on your brush.
Looks like ketchup.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch TV.
And what you're going to do is take your brush and go in here.
Or jam.
Looks a little bit like blood.
Ketchup, like jam.
And when this stuff hardens, it don't harden like per se, but once it gels up, it's on there. What this does, this prevents your pads from binding in your caliper.
Prevents it from sticking.
And it prevents it from sticking. And it gives you good brake application. The car won't pull. Hopefully when I get this back together, that noise is gone, that rotational noise.
Let me clean this with a wire brush. This little tab.
I'm going to do something else right here with that. You'll see. Now we got our caliper bracket fixed. Let's lay our brush down here. Let me see that. The pads. Take our drill with our abrasive on it. Take the grease off of there and clean the ears of your pads because that'll cause them to stick. Then you want to take it and go over the surface of the pad just to scuff it up. You can also do this with emery cloth and sandpaper. This removes the glazing and some of the pitting from it sitting. Make sure you bevel it. That bevel is important. Keep noise down. Hand me the other pad.
Here you go. Pad ready.
Boom. All right. Welcome back, guys. Okay. Now that we've gotten that switched away, we're good to go. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Use a little torch, a little heat, sand things down with a wire brush. You put it back together with a little bit of lube. You save yourself some money. Because believe me, if you go buy one that somebody in the factory redid, all they did was clean it up with a wire brush and respray paint it anyway. All right. Today we are going to focus on the rear part of the brakes. Now, these are self-adjusting brakes. When you back up and you pump your parking brake, there is a lever in here that actuates a star. I'm going to take this off. There's an adjuster down here with a lever on it inside the drum. And what happens is, when you back up and your wheel is going backwards like this, and you're pumping your brake, those shoes are engaging in the drum. And that lever is spinning that star outward, and it's adjusting these to where they're just slightly dragging on the drum. And if I spin the drum, you can hear the drag just ever so slightly. That's all you want to hear. It's a slight drag of the shoes on the drum. You don't want to over adjust these. If you over adjust them, you can cause stretching in the cable, you can cause dragging brakes, you can overheat your drums, you can cost yourself a lot of money. I'm going to show you how to clean those, how to inspect them for wear, how to sand down your shoes a little bit, how to de-rust the inside of the drum with a wire wheel, and then to reassemble everything, properly lubricate it. All right, let's get to our tires, guys. All right, well, you want to pull a tire out of there and bring it around here to me, bud? Sure thing. Oops, wrong drawer. All right, here we have two fancy dancy dial indicating tread depth gauges. One I got, it's generic from Honda. This one I got from Matco Tools. This one reads tread depth in 30 seconds. This one reads tread depth in millimeters. If you read the gauge real close, this one says tire tread depth gauge. Reads in 1/30 seconds. So each one of these numbers is 1/32 of an inch. Over here, it says right here, tread depth gauge and this says TYRE, tier, and it says 0 to 11 millimeter. So basically you push this down until that little needle comes out the bottom. You put this little needle in between your tread at the very lowest spot in your tire, and it pushes that needle in, and when it stops, you get your reading. This would be 6 millimeters. This would be 6/32. You can also do it cheap way, because everybody has a bunch of these laying around, unless you're broker than I am. This is a penny, and what you want to do is you want to look at Lincoln's head. The very top of Lincoln's head, I don't know if you can see that, the very top of Lincoln's head right here, if you can see that, when you got the base of this penny on the flattest part of your tire and your tread does not cover Lincoln's head, you are at minimum spec. You need to replace your tires. Let's go measure them. Here we have one of the tires off of the car. Okay, these were recently replaced. These tires don't seem to be that bad. What we're looking for is we were looking for cracks in the tread, dry rot. We're looking for uneven wear, like cupping or feathering. There's none of that. The tire's wearing nice and even. There's no edge wear. Let's go ahead and take our penny, and we are going to stick him in here with Lincoln's head down. Can you see Lincoln's head?
His chin, not his head.
Let's go right here. Can you see Lincoln's head? It's pretty much covered, right? Okay. Now, if you look right here at the top of Lincoln's head, and you look at this wear bar right here on top of the tire, look on top of the tire, right here. These little bumps right here are called wear bars. And the top of Lincoln's head to the very base of that penny is the same depth as that wear bar. That wear bar is 2/32, okay? Now, to use a tread depth gauge, we're going to go by 30 seconds because that's how most tires are measured here in the United States. This is for your Japanese repair shops like Honda, Nissan, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this will give you corresponding measurements in accordance with what the minimum spec is on your door if you have a Japanese car. If you have an American car or your car was produced in America, this is what it'll read. Take your gauge, you push that thing all the way down till it reads 0. So the top's all the way down as far as it'll go, the bottom's all the way out. Thick one is all the way down, bottom one's all the way out. Take it, set it in your tire, and you want to push it down until the base of your gauge touches the tread. Now we are reading 10/32. 10/32 of tread is a brand new tire. Now, in order to say, okay, it's got good tread on it, and it ain't dry rotted, and it ain't cracked, but how old is it, and how much time do I have on it? Well, you have a thing called a DOT number.
Which is on the back of the front.
You have a partial DOT number on the back, right here, which stops the DBH. You have DOT, 2RCB, DBH. There should be 4 numbers after that. You always mount the DOT number on a tire facing outwards. Your DOT number on the outside of the tire, you'll notice, has 4 extra numbers. That is the tire size.
Yeah.
Your DOT number is right here. And the same was on the inside, the 2RCB, DBH, but it has a 3013. Those are the numbers we are looking at.
Yeah.
The 30 is the week, and the 13 is the year. So this was made the 30th week of 2013. I have a formula written down on how you can determine what month that is, what week of the month it is of that year. Then you take that number and you subtract it from the year you're at. So we're in 2022 and these are 2013. So you take 22 minus 13. And what is the answer, Kai?
9. Wait,
These tires are
9.
14, 15, 16,
nine.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 9, you're absolutely correct. These tires are 9 years old and they are in excellent shape. Now, had I inspected these and I saw dry rotting and cracking and everything else that tends to go wrong with rubber as it deteriorates over time, I would say that it is time to pull these off the road. I've seen a lot of tires go bad at 4 years. I've seen a lot of tires go bad at 7 years. I've seen tires last from when they were originally on the car in 08. What you want to be aware of is the actual condition of the rubber. Your tires take a beating on the road. They're constantly going over bumps. You're hitting potholes. You know, if you've ever driven Maryland roads and you know what I'm talking about,
Like DC.
they will destroy your tires and your suspension. They'll knock out your alignment. But if you maintain your vehicle, your tires will last a lot longer. These tires were produced in 2013. They probably sat on the shelf for 9 months before they were put on this vehicle. But yeah, I would say that these tires were put on in 2013. The car's in 05. So from 05 to 2013 was when it had these tires replaced. It might have went through 2 sets, but I think it only went through 1. It was driven by an older man, and then it was given to his daughter. And now I'm here maintaining it and making safety videos and tips for you guys. Here you go. Well, go ahead and put this tire back. All right. Now, there's a couple tricks that you can use to get these rear drums off. Some drums you would have to take off the cap, pull a cotter pin, remove a nut, and then slide it off of its hub. These drums are hubless. They're just very tight fitting. With these drums, you want to take a hammer and tap. You don't want to beat on it. Just tap, 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 tap. These holes right here are meant to have two 12mm bolts that are 1 by 1 1/4 thread go in. And you work them in evenly until this pops off. I wouldn't do that with a drum this old because number one, these holes are very grody, rusted, and dirty. You're not going to get thread on them. Number two, if you did, it would probably pull out. And number three, these drums are very susceptible to cracking. So you want to tap around the edges on the outside, and as you're tapping, you want to wiggle your drum back and forth. All you're doing is breaking the seat where it's on the hub. We're going to take a small pause, and I am going to come right back just as soon as I tap these off, and I'm going to show you what I mean by the shoes. I'll see you when you come back. Give me a second. Okay, we got our drums loosened up, and we finally got them ready to come off. Now, as I was saying, behind your drum system, you'll find your hub and the inside of your drum. The inside surface of your drum right here should be smooth. This one's got a little bit of rust in it, but all in all, it's okay. We can clean it up with a wire brush. These are your shoes. They're made up of two parts. You have your shoe backing, which is this metal piece, and you have your shoe lining. When you inspect your shoes, you want to feel and look for any cracks that might be in the shoe. You want to feel for any flat spots. You want to look for any heat spots. They'll be darker than the rest of the shoe. Now you want to keep these dry. You don't want to get them wet with brake fluid or grease or anything like that because they're very absorbent. And once they absorb any kind of fluid material like brake fluid, they get soft and spongy and they don't grab as well. We're going to perform a service on these because they've never been serviced. So what that means is these shoes still have some thickness on them. Right here, they're still good. And what we're going to do is we are going to clean them and we're going to lubricate them. They are very well adjusted. These are self-adjusting brakes. And I don't know if you can see down in here, but basically you have your parking brake cable that comes in here to this shoe, okay? And as the shoe moves, you have a lever back here that actuates a little star right here. And as your shoes expand out, that arm drops and spins this counterclockwise and spreads your shoes out against your drum until they're touching. After that, the arm won't actuate that lever anymore because it's not on there that tight, and your shoes will be perfectly adjusted. What you do is as you're backing up, you work your parking lever, 1, 2, 3, and you're done. It does both sides. The only thing that this system requires is that you change the shoes when they wear out, and I'm going to show you how to measure them, as well as your drum and your rotors and your pads, and that you lubricate them after you clean them and you sand a little bit of this surface glazing off. We're also going to treat the inside of here with a wire brush, and we got some PB Blaster going on where we had to knock the drum off. But all in all, these come off pretty well. You gotta be ginger with them, but don't be afraid to give them a good cracking. All right, now we're gonna look at our materials. We're gonna set our drum aside. Oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna see some dust and stuff in here when you take it off of there. Just take it and dump it into your receptacle, whatever that may be. We're using a little pot here. It ain't gonna hurt the plant. This stuff's all biodegradable. There's no asbestos. They don't use that anymore. Yeah, right. Okay, they don't. We have two brushes. We have a detail brush and we have an old toothbrush. We also have our sandpaper or emery cloth. I cut the sandpaper in the strip. This is 220 grit, and we're going to use that to sand our shoes when we're done cleaning and we're done lubricating. I'm gonna set that over here in our drum. We're gonna set our brushes here in front of us. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is take your soap, which is mine's full strength degreaser. It happens to be Purple Power in a spray 9 bottle. And we're just going to spray the shoes, get everything. Now this won't hurt the shoes. Getting them wet will not hurt them. If you get them wet with any kind of hydraulic fluid or any kind of oil or penetrant, WD-40, that kind of stuff, yeah, it'll hurt them. PB Blaster, yep, that'll hurt them. And we're gonna let this stuff soak into it because these things are pretty nasty. They ain't been cleaned in a minute. And they ain't been lubricated in a minute. And as that sets, what it's going to do is it's going to eat into some of that dirt. So you're going to take a brush and you're going to help agitate it. We're going to start up here by the wheel cylinders and get in there really good and come across the top of the wheel cylinder and down along the side and kind of break up all that dirt and dust that's been on there for years. Get in there where it's grimy. Sometimes you have to take a little bit of water because it's hot out here. And you got to wet them a little bit more, kind of, just to help you agitate it. Get your spring. Get your spring where it goes into your shoe. Get your adjuster, which is pretty easy. Just be careful you don't knock anything off. Return spring here for your parking brake lever. Here's your parking brake cable down here that I'm scrubbing. Comes through and it hooks onto this lever behind here. This lever is attached to this pad, or shoe rather. The shoe's held down with a spring, a cap, and a pin that comes into the back. And then you have your return spring for your parking brake. When you release it, the spring pulls the shoe in from the drum, releasing the car so it'll roll. Tops and sides of your shoes here, the bottoms of your shoes. And let's not forget that grody little spring down here at the bottom right here. It kind of holds it all together. And of course this little guy right here. Now we're going to take our water and we're going to rinse it all off. That's all for the cleaning portion of it. As you can see, there are 6 lube points. These little humps right here, that's a lubrication point. Then you have a lubrication point down in here. And you have another lubrication point at the bottom. You can see them easier over here. We have a lubrication point here. We have a lubrication point here. If you get around the side here and see my toothbrush is pointing right there. See that hump? The backing plate, you got that there, and you got one way down here, I don't think you can see. Okay, once we move the bucket, I'll show you. So we're gonna rinse all that out of there. And we're going to grease all those points. We're gonna grease here and here. We're gonna spray a little bit of grease back here where the wheel is for the adjuster. Right there. We're gonna spray our adjusting lever. We're also going to spray our mounts for our hold down pins, our springs for the return of the parking brake, our spring for the primary return of the wheel cylinder, our hold down spring down here, and we're also going to lubricate those 6 points because there's 3 on each shoe. But this has to dry first. So while this is drying, we'll clean the drum, which is easy, and then we'll service the other side. And after we're done lubricating it, we'll sand everything down, then lubricate it. So we'll set our paper here. Now for our drum, this grody little thing, which if you want to be fancy, you can set it on there backwards like so. Pull your pot forward a little bit, like so. And you're gonna spray your drum down just the same as you did your shoes. And you're gonna spray it all the way up in the top there. And all around the inside of the hub there. And you're gonna do the same basic thing that you did with the shoes, but you're gonna use your detail brush. And you're really gonna get in here and kind of agitate it around them rusty points where this sits against the hub on the inside here. And you're gonna kind of go down here in the drum with the toothbrush. And you're gonna clean all that brake dust that's burnt into that metal out. I'll show you how to clean it really good with a wire brush later before we put it back on, because this should have an unidirectional finish on it. Okay, now we're gonna rinse our drum. And we're gonna let all this dry. While both sides are drying, I'm gonna take you around front and show you how to measure your pads, measure your rotors. I'm gonna teach you where to find your specs at. If they're not in your owner's manual, you have to call your local dealer, go to your parts store, give them the year, make, and model of your vehicle, or you have to look them up on Google. Type in brake specs, give them the year, make, and model of your vehicle, and they'll give you the exact brake specs, minimum and maximum, for your drums and rotors. All right, let's go over here. Grab my wire brush, Kai. And the wire wheel. Okay, come on guys, follow me. Hello. Hey, can you go grab that heavy flower pot? No, that stuff's done dripping. And we're gonna repeat the process over here. Got our water, got our spray cons to clean, spray 9. Got our 2 brushes, and we got our wire wheel. Take our drum, which you've already dumped out, and we're gonna set that aside. We're just gonna slide this over. Got my sand, baby. All right, here we are. Oh well, poor plant. It was a plant. Soap her down. Like the other side. This hub face I'm really going to clean with a wire brush before I put the drums back on. Be careful because this degreaser is really strong. If you inhale too much of it, it's liable to make you retarded. You don't want that. Inspect these already when we had it off before we took the other side completely apart. We want to show you guys. Sometimes you gotta really whack on them, but I wouldn't beat on them too hard because you can crack a drum. Should that happen,
And you gotta buy a new one.
gotta buy a new drum. And drums they don't generally keep in stock because as you think, people don't think about them too much.
So then you gotta look on one of the resale sites like eBay
And then you don't know what you're getting, right? Sometimes you get good, sometimes you get the wrong stuff. And
Sometimes you don't even got what you need.
true. So true. And of course we just take our water and we spritz her on down. As she's drying, we'll go ahead and do our, what's over here with Kai wood?
I'm good.
And we'll
He
go,
doesn't want to inhale the chemicals.
we'll go ahead and we'll do our drum. And then we'll put this flower pot back and I will get out our measuring tools. I'll teach you how to measure both the drum brakes and the front pads. Front pads are good. Front rotors we know are new. With these, we're just going to measure them, write down the measurements, and then look it up on Google.
Why's all that liquid black?
Why is it all black?
Yeah.
Well, because it's taking all that brake dust off of there. You actually see the brass of the actuator.
You got a
arm.
call incoming.
Oh, I do? I don't know who that is. Guess what? We're going to do. Okay, back to the video. Spam caller, folks. I'm using my phone for a camera. That's all I got.
Could have been a side job.
Huh?
Might have been a side job or a doctor, who knows?
He said that he doesn't know the number.
Doctor's side job. I didn't recognize it. But then we go ahead
Spam.
and we take our drum. We put our drum on just like we did the other side, backwards. Like so. And we just spray it down with a little bit of soapy water, dish soap and water, or degreaser, whatever you got. Take your brush, you work it around. Like I said, this is environmentally friendly. This is a lot better than using brake cleaner. Brake parts cleaner, it'll stay in your driveway, it'll kill stuff. With this, just hose it down. If you get it in the grass, it ain't gonna kill nothing. If you get it on the ground, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. And I'm gonna show you that, because we're gonna keep an eye on our friend here. And he's gonna grow.
You gonna die from the chemicals.
There is no chemicals in this.
The
It's
damn
just
spray line and the Pro Power.
Dude, that spray nine bottle's been refilled like 23 times.
Mhm.
There's no trace of spray nine left in that bottle.
Nope. Just this detergent. They use it on duckies.
No, you're thinking of Dawn dish liquid.
Look at all that black liquid coming in there. That plant's gonna die.
It is not. If it does, then we know, okay, this ain't as environmentally friendly as they say. That means the EPA lied to me. It's all a conspiracy,
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
right?
I don't need that. I can know you're around the house. with people
Okay.
like that.
Let it drip. Take your drum, drain her out a little bit. All right. Woodrow, would you be so kind as to take our flower pot back up?
Sure.
And we're gonna let this dry. All right.
Now why don't you wipe it down with a paper towel?
You can, but I prefer to let it air dry because it buys us some time to go measure our front brakes. All right, we're going to take this with us. We're going to leave this here because we still got to sand them down. We're going to leave this here because we still got to clean the face of the thing. We're going to take this with us and this with us. And we're going to go learn how to measure our disc brakes first while they're drying. All right. Now, when you're using soap and water like that, because you're in an area like this where you don't want to make a mess, and you don't want to kill any plants or anything like that, which I'm going to prove to you, this will not kill plants. I'm using my own plant.
It's already dead.
No, it's still green.
Hey, if it's green, it's alive. Now, here we have our brand new rotors and our somewhat new pads, okay? There's two devices that I love to use when I'm measuring rotors and pads. The first one is on the pads, our little fan. This is our multicolored fan, okay. You have the thinnest to the thickest.
I thought those were feeler gauges.
These all have measurements on them. These are not feeler gauges. This is a fan measuring tool for brakes. Okay? Most of your brakes are measured millimeters. 10 millimeters, brand new pad. Okay? Some are 12. They're even bigger. These skip sizes. So if it's in between like a 9, if it's between an 8 and a 10, you got a 9. So this is too loose and this won't fit. You mark it down as a 9, you know it's green. If it's between a 6 and an 8, you know it's a 7. I usually mark them going in the yellow at that point. When you get down to where they're at the 3 and 4 mark, I start recommending them here. By the time you're here, you got a squealer hitting. By the time you're here, your inboard pad is metal to metal. Let me show you what I mean. Come around here. In between your caliper and your disc brake, you can look down in here and you can see a pad. This way. There you go. You got it right there. This right here is your pad. You have the metal piece on the back on the outside right here. This metal piece. That's the backing of the pad. Bring it on right there. Okay. This right on the outside here is your backing plate to the pad. The material right here touching the rotor, that's the pad. That's what you're measuring. You're going to take and find the approximate size of the gauge that you think the thickness of that pad is, and you're going to stick it in there. And there's a flat spot that goes against the rotor, and that goes in between the backing plate of the pad and the rotor, and it sits flush. That's a little loose. So we're going to go up to our first green, which happens to be an 8. That one was a 6. Let's go in here with our 8. Our 8 millimeter is just right. 10's brand new. These are 8. These are perfect. Now, these were exposed to heat. I did check them. There's no heat cracking. There's no separation. They're good. Now, let me teach you how to mic your rotor. Now, there's several different tools to measure rotors and drums. I prefer the digital. This is called a caliper mic. What you do is you hit this on.
Fancy.
After you put a battery in it, of course.
Now, does this test down to the micro measurement or?
Yes.
All right.
Here we are. Here's where the battery goes. So we're gonna take this out of here.
Because don't we use those
This
measure
is
rings
a little
too?
Brody. We're gonna take our new batteries right here that we got.
It's an Energizer.
Yeah, man. I want the big bucks. We're gonna take this guy. We're gonna put him right in there with, they'll tell you on the cap, say positive up, negative down. On your battery, it has a positive sign and there's nothing written on the negative side. So we're gonna take the positive side, we're gonna slide him on in there and push him down. It came on. It works. Yes.
Of course it works.
Awesome. Okay. Now that it works, you can tell the caliper is all the way closed. You don't want to force it. You just want it to touch. And we're reading negative 0.003. So you hit this button here, it says 0, and it'll zero it out. Okay? Okay. All right, let's start over. Turn it on, and it's reading negative 4. And you know that these are closed. You hit your 0 button, and it zeroes it out. You can also go to inches.
Wow.
I prefer the inches. Now, I'm not sure what the specs are on these, but if you go around this side of Willie, I'll show you how to measure a rotor. Take your caliper mic. You gotta come around the other way because I'm doing it this way. Or I can try to do it this way. You're not gonna be able to see it though. And you keep it flat on the inside. You make sure you don't have any wiggle room. I prefer to measure it this way because I can see.
The other thing is a flashlight on it, right?
No, it doesn't.
Your phone.
Yeah, but I don't need a flashlight. I need to be able to see this. And I need to make sure that it is flat with the rotor. Now, if that is flat with the rotor, hold on, let me close it and zero it. Zero. Open her up, close her, and you want to make sure that this square is nice and flush with your rotor. It ain't cocked in any way. We got a 1.095. That is normal for Japanese new rotors. On a Honda Civic, that is a brand new rotor. 1.095 to 1.094. I believe it's 1.032 in the front. That'd be minimum spec for a Civic, and I would assume it'd be the same for this. You would have to look it up for your specific year, make, and model. That's how you use a caliper mic to measure your rotors. It's digital. It's easy. It'll let you know whether you can safely resurface this rotor or if you have to get rid of it.
Measure the ones in the
Now,
in the trunk.
I don't have a mic that does the drums because whenever we service rear shoes, we usually replace the drums. I'm going to go back in the house. I'm going to grab the device that I use to check shoes for proper thickness, because 230 seconds, 230 seconds, 2 millimeters, 2 millimeters is a standard for replacement. Follow me. I'm going to show you what the tool looks like and how to use it. All right. Let's go to my brake drawer. Okay, this is my brake drawer. Here is the device I use for drum. This is the same thing that I used for the shoes in the fan thing. This gives you an actual measurement in inches increments instead of millimeters. This right here does 130 seconds, which is the same tread as a tire. But I'm going to show you because you got to zero this. This arm moves and you have to zero it before you measure the pad thickness, because you want to measure the pad thickness, not the pad and the backing plate. The backing plate is approximately 1 to 1 1/4 30 seconds. All right. All right, the first thing you want to do, remove your drum. You want to calibrate your instrument. You want to make sure that the numbers are facing you. To calibrate your instrument, you simply open it up, you pinch it on the metal. You take this arm right here and you bring it to 0. Okay? It's calibrated. Then, because you've zeroed this out, you measure your shoe. Our shoes in the back are 4 1/4 30 seconds. These shoes are in good shape for the secondary. Let's try our primary. Our primary shoe is at 4 1/2. Your front shoe, which is your primary, which is smaller than your secondary, always wears faster because the car is moving forward more than it's moving in reverse.
Is that like 3?
So these right here, you replace at 2. So we still have 3 to 4 millimeters of life left in
It's
them.
actually a little above 3 for your primary.
Yeah. A little above 3.
Yeah. A little above 3. See?
There's 6, there's 4.
That's 3. It goes 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and it's a little bit above 3.
Oh, that's a 3. I thought that was a 6.
It's a 3.
Okay, so 3 1/2 for the primary, and I'm blind, and 4, a little above 4 1/2 for the secondary. But yeah, so you got like 2 or 3 30 seconds left on the front, and you still have a lot of life left in the rear shoe. We're gonna come back and we're gonna lubricate these. The other side should be wearing the same. You want to check your wheel cylinders while you're in here. Make sure there's no fluid leaking out of them. I don't want to disturb these boots too bad, because if you do, you can disturb dust. Dust gets in there, it messes with the seals and the plungers in here, and it can start to bind the spring that's in here. It can also cause a fluid leak.
Now,
You
isn't this
don't
the
want to
one-
disturb this unless you absolutely have to. If you don't see it leaking and these shoes weren't covered in brake fluid and the drums weren't soaked when you took them off, then you're good to go.
Isn't this the one with the bad bleeder valve?
On the other side.
Alright.
The one we couldn't get open that we thought if we tried it would break. So we left it alone, we bled it another way. Yep, that's it. Okay, that covers the measurements. Now, we're going to take and we're going to clean our hub face over here. We're going to clean the inside of our drum where the hub face is, and we're going to lubricate and scuff our shoes. To scuff our shoes, you don't got to take much off. You just take your sandpaper, make sure it's on the shoe, and you just run it back and forth. That's all you're going to do is scuff it. You're getting that first layer of glaze off.
And you're bringing up fresh material.
And bring out
to the
fresh
ground.
material. That's all you're doing. What that's going to do is that's going to help the shoes bite against this drum to hold the car when you use the parking brake. It's also going to help you more efficiently use that 10% of braking power as opposed to the 90% in the front, and it's going to save your pads and help them last a little longer because this is going to be functioning properly. Will, can you go grab me that can of red grease and a flat tip screwdriver? All right. Now you don't want to go hog wild with this stuff. And a flat tip screwdriver.
You already got one over there. That press one.
Or what I'll do, let me grab brake spoon.
Alright.
Brake spoon will be a little easier.
That's a brake spoon?
It's called a brake spoon.
I didn't know you had a spoon for brakes.
Well, it's called a brake spoon because you use it to spoon the shoe up in between the two lubrication points, like so. Take a can of red grease and you just point it in the backing plate, just above the lubrication point, and you spritz.
I thought there was a tool company for Honda.
That's it, right there. She's lubricated. You don't need a lot of it either. Come up here to the top one. Whoop. Let me grab a brake spoon. Don't press too hard.
Broke it all.
You're gonna break the shoes off of it.
No, that's
Nah.
fine. We'll just pop the spring out. That's it. I'll just have to reset the spring.
Now, if there's any on the shoe, just wipe it off. This is brake grease. This is actually what this is meant for. Let me get down there so I can see. And I can get,
Yeah, it's actually the concrete's cool on this side.
yeah, no. Okay. Sometimes when you're working down here, let's go ahead and grab this underneath it here. Just bring your camera down, see where I'm pointing. You want to lift your shoe off your contact point. Spritz it. Then, of course, you want to spritz here and here, here, here. Anywhere there's a metal contact point, the shoe, you want to spritz it. Your springs, right there. Your seats of your springs, right there. Spring there. And you're going to want to come up here. There's a spring here. Just a dab. Dab will do you. Like I said, you can come back with a rag. You can wipe your shoe. Your shoe will be fine. It's still in a liquid state.
Oh no, he's bleeding.
Now, if you want to get in here to your wheel cylinders, this is very important. Take it and
The wheel cylinder is the most important part. Without that, you can't actuate the rear brake system. That's the heart of it. Is that cylinder right there.
there we go. Now, what I usually do is wipe that off. And I usually take
Wiping it all over your new clothes.
wipe it off there. Just wipe it on my shoes. Ain't no big deal. It doesn't stain. It comes right off.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. See?
I think mom's laundry will show different.
I bet you it will. All right, let's finish lubing up our springs. And you want to lubricate your parking brake cable, which is over in here. Remember that white thing we were seeing, the cable that goes down here, right here? My finger is
the
here.
white cable right
Yeah, you want to lubricate that with some grease. All right, now we're going to take our sandpaper. You can do this with a wire wheel too. I just use a little bit of sandpaper because these drums really ain't that bad. And you want to just go around the inside lip of this drum right here, where it goes over top of your hub. We're going to knock off some of that loose rust. Okay. You want to go around here and just stuff. You go especially around here and stuff because this will catch the backing plate and it'll make noise. We don't want noise. We're trying to service the brake system and make sure that everything's copacetic to go. All right.
I wonder how much guns are now for the inflation price.
I don't want to know. They were expensive back when we didn't have inflation.
Because it's so that's price. I hate to see the price of drums. Because drums, you always replace them. There's no resurfacing them.
All you're doing is knocking down your first layer of rust. The front rubbing. All you doing. Right there. Okay, then what we do is we take our red grease and we spritz around our hub where our rotor sits, our drum sits, I'm sorry. Okay, then we take our drum to make sure that our shoes move. Whoops, we almost forgot. We got a lubrication point over here we gotta get. We almost forgot to lubricate the shoe.
Didn't you say not to get any on the shoe?
You can get some on the shoe, but you gotta wipe it off.
There's
And you
some
have to
right
use
there
a
on the shoe.
non-urethane, not a non-urethane, a non-polymer. You gotta use a polymer grease, a polymer brake grease. You can't use like a penetrating oil or a hydraulic oil.
Like PB Blaster.
Like PB Blaster, yes. If you get that on your shoes,
That's
they'll,
a silicone type.
yeah, it's a rust inhibitor. It's not good.
Or like WD-40.
Yeah, it's bad stuff for that. There's that one. Let me lay down. Excuse me. In fact, all right. Now what I'm gonna do is,
Well, not fat, just healthy and husky.
yeah, I like that. I'm gonna use that. Lift our shoe out, and we're going to hold it with this hand. Take his hand. Spritz it. Willie, can you grab me a paper towel? One of the blue ones off the bottom of the cart. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go by and we're gonna clean up our mess. Take it and just wipe it down. Make sure your shoes are clear. Make sure your backing plate's wiped off. If you got a little bit extra on there, just wipe it off. It ain't no big thing. It ain't going to be the end of the world. It ain't going to kill nothing. Just wipe it off. That's all. If it makes you feel better, take a clean rag, put a little bit of brake cleaner on it, and wipe around your shoes.
So my nuts.
Okay, we're good. Now we're gonna take our drum and we're gonna put our drum back on. I can't really see from this side, but there we go. Somebody hand my hammer, Will?
Where's your hammer?
My green handled hammer. I don't know, you got it. It's over by the cart. On the cart, actually. And you wanna make sure that they're adjusted like they are. So what we're going to do is we're going to seat this back against this hub by giving her a tap. And there she is. That's all you want. 2 rotations and a stop. That's it. Like I said, they're self-adjusting on this setup and they're good to go. And that is how you service self-adjusting rear drum brakes. I'm going to go do the other side real quick.
Question.
And we'll be right back. What's the question?
Difference between front and rear drums?
There is no difference. They both have primary and secondary shoes, and the setups are mostly the same. The front drum usually has a hubbed rotor, where the rear has a hubless. That would be the only difference. But the setup is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
If you ever go to service the shoes, and you gotta take off all the springs, don't do both sides at the same time. Do one side and leave the other together so you can use it as a reference guide, putting it back together should you forget where things go.
Or
That's a
take
fix.
picture
That's a quick
with your
tip.
iPhone.
Or take a picture before you take it apart. But okay. All right, let's go do the other side. And I'll get back to you with the proper torque procedure when we put the wheels back on. Welcome back. Took a short break. We cleaned the rear drums, got everything lubricated, got all the rust off. We got our new rotors on. We got our caliper seized up, freed up from being seized up. Yeah.
You
We
got 'em
have
seized
all
up.
our fluids topped off. Conditions are good. We have our tires bolted back up, and we are about to torque them. Torque is very, very important, especially when it comes to your wheels. William, you want to explain to them what the torque pattern is and how many foot-pounds we're going to torque these lug nuts to?
Well, these normally call for 80, but we're doing 85 because I don't really trust these Steelies because they're old. But basically what you want to do is if there was a 5th lug here, you go in a star, but since it's not, it's a 4 lug, you go in an X pattern. So you start here, go to here, and there and there.
You gotta start torquing.
Simple.
Show the people how it's done.
Nope, stop.
Go down to there.
Yeah. Here. I'm
Go to there.
It's gonna be a professional pit crew one day. I'm gonna be in a professional pit crew.
Yep, and then you go there. Same thing. If I start here, we go to there, and to there and there. Repeat the process 4 times over. And they can't drive.
Go back around and check the driver's side front jam for this one. Just to make sure.
I
Better
always
double check and be safe than sorry.
double, triple check. Especially in the old classics like this one. This would be retro.
This prevents warpage of brake components, it applies the proper clamping force, and it prevents rotational damage such as stretching or stripping of threads on the stud or the lug, and it ensures the replication is doing as it is designed.
Also, it doesn't put them on too tight. We can't get them off.
Yep. You don't break stuff.
So then you want to triple check this again.
Just double check it. You should just push it till it clicks. There you go. That's
Yep.
it. And we're good. We're good.
Alrighty.
All right. Now, that's it. She's all wrapped up. We're going to clean up a little bit of our tools, and then we're going to hit the old test drive. Don't forget, if you like the content that we showed you here today and it was helpful to you, give it a like. Go ahead and subscribe. If you got anything you'd like me to see me do here to Old Sally that I haven't covered yet, I got plenty of ideas, but I could always use somebody else's input. Feel free to comment on it. We're going to cut here, and I'm going to catch in a few on the test drive, and then we're going to go ahead and edit everything and post it. I hope you like, and God bless everybody, and have a good night. Welcome back to Parking Lot Rescue and Performance, aka this is the Brain Dead Mechanic.
Yeah, the bread mechanic.
Yeah, the bread mechanic, breadwinner. Yeah, sure. Why am I losing so much money on this deal? Anyway, we're back. We're at Nissan Sally. Got the AC going. Of course, we're going on our preliminary test drive after doing the rear brake service and catching everything up that we need to catch up on. I really do, like I said, hope you subscribe and like, and that you enjoyed this series. I'm going to teach you how to adjust the self-adjusting brakes in the rear. Simply put your foot on the brake, let the parking brake down, put it in reverse. Put your hand on the parking brake, let the car idle. As the car's idling, as you back up, you're going to go 1, 2, 3. And as you do it, you're going to hit the brake a couple times. What that's going to do is that's going to use the wheel cylinder to not only help the cable push those shoes out, but it's going to, the wheel cylinder having pressure behind is going to push the shoes out even more against the drum. And it's going to help that adjuster back out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put it in neutral. We're going to set our parking brake 5 clicks and make sure it holds the car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You put 6.
My bad. I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holds the car. Put it in reverse. Neutral, and she'll stop. That's all you need. All right, let's go for our test drive. Make sure all the noises are gone. Make sure there ain't no noises. Now tomorrow, we're going to start our series with how to get the glazing off of that drive belt. We're also going to fix this noisy exhaust that makes this car sound like a motorboat, increasing the value even more. Then, if we got time, we're going to go ahead and we're going to wash her off, dry her, and see how our wax held up. on this weather-beaten old bird. So far, runs, drives great. Transmission fluid is in excellent condition. It's not burnt, it's not brown. It's nice pink color. We don't have any weeble wobbles or jerky herkies when we stop. So the rotors are good, the drums are good. Let's try our parking brake when we go to stop up here. Make sure that it ain't warped. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yank her up a little harder. And she stops the car. Look at that. Perfect. Let's go ahead and
That
signal.
didn't sound good.
Well, that's because they're chattering against the drums. They haven't been seated yet. That's why we're going for a drive.
What are you doing? Going down to Chaz's and back?
Get on the chassis and back. That's all you need to do is go for like a mile and a half. Mile and a half down, mile and a half back. That's 3 miles. That's more than enough for this car to tell you whether or not you've done something wrong during the service. And it will let you know, trust me.
Brakes will fail on
Brakes are not going to fail. You stop it, you're going to have to edit that out.
you. I am.
Yeah, you are. By the way, we're riding today with the missus. Boss lady, a.k.a. Laura, my wife. Lovely as ever. Just doing a little online school shopping for my cameraman. As you know, he's still getting an education.
I'm gonna get a job soon. How do you feel about that?
Well, can we still do YouTube when your day's off? Because me and Willie suck at filming.
Yeah, we can still do that.
All right. You still going to be my editor?
If I got the time.
Sure. I don't think jobs give you homework. But then again, you're going to have school and a job, so.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to have to learn how to edit this all
I'll
by
be
myself.
working, so I'll go to school from 8 to 1:20 or 2, and then I'll come home. I'll be home for a few hours, and then I gotta go to work from 6 to 10.
There you go, ladies. There you have it. You have Malachi's new schedule.
Yeah,
He is
that's gonna be
available
in a few
in those
years.
times that we're not listed. So if anybody thinks he is hot, feel free to drop a like in the comments below and let him know. He is available.
It's gonna be in like 2 years. I'll be 16.
Oh, now you're giving him your age? Wow.
And now I'm not of age yet. In case the ladies want me.
Wow.
So there'll be plenty available.
I hope so. So how do you think she's riding so far, Kai Kai, for the work we did?
Pretty good. There's a lot of creaking though.
I know when I was using the parking brake to stop. Well, because we sanded the shoes. And they haven't seated to the drums yet. Allergies, my nose is running. Nice little stoppy stop. This is Chaz's Used Auto Parts. This is where I come to get all of my used auto parts, like window regulators and things of that nature, that are in good shape from wrecked automobiles.
Watch the brakes fail.
Sounds good. Brakes are not going to fail. See, brakes are good.
Just scared the shit out of mom.
Brakes are good. See that?
Yeah. I'd been no more good if somebody just slammed us in the ass right there.
Nobody's behind us. That's why I did it. You okay? Did you hit the wrong button? My bad. Should have been paying attention.
Why don't you have accidentally bought something?
Well, you got to make sure they work. Because what happens if the customer goes to panic stop and they don't work? I'd rather them fail on me in a panic stop than her. So we know definitely the brakes do work.
I have to put new tires on it now.
No, I didn't lock them up. I wanted to make sure they were going to stop. Sometimes it helps to heat them up by letting them drag against the drum a little bit at a high speed. That'll help seat them in, get them hot. Got them rust lips off the drums. No more metal on metal contact noise. car track straight, steering's reactive. Power steering came back. I do believe that conditioner really helped those seals out in there. Kind of bought us some time with the rack. I'm going to clean that off and keep an eye on it, because sometimes from sitting they just shrink and they'll start to piss everywhere. But then after you drive the car for a while, it goes through a few heat cycles, and you got some good conditioner in there, it'll really seek into the rubber and cause it to come back to life, and she'll seal back up. It doesn't always work, but I do believe in this application it did. Honey, would you like to say anything to our fans out there? You sure? She doesn't say much. She kind of just does her thing. Slow it on down to 30 here. Turn signal on. And let's pull her back on around here. Wait, no more squeaky dicky. No more when you go around a turn.
Gotta fix that belt though.
Oh yeah, that's tomorrow. The exhaust leak is tomorrow, and then I'll go good wash downs tomorrow. So this is it. We're putting her in her final resting place for the night. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And like I said, if you got any new ideas, or if you have anything you'd like to see me do to old Sally here, feel free to comment. I'm open for suggestions. She does need work, and I'll see if I can fit it into the videos. Thanks again for watching. God bless. Have a good one.